you today from cool and blustery Chicago, Illinois. I am flying solo today. My name is Jerry Mills, and my partner in Crush, Jason O'Neill, is crushing it on the open seas right now, enjoying a cruise with some of the members of the Outsourced Lifestyle tribe that we're a part of, just enjoying themselves, you know, all work and no play. Well, we know from The Shining what that leads to. So we're not going to make that mistake. I know I don't make that mistake. I hope you don't make that mistake. You got to work hard and play hard. So, and even while we're playing, guess what? The business keeps on running. The power of the outsourced lifestyle. The purpose of our show, the Zero to Hero show, we want to help you go from zero to hero. So zero in your business, zero in your life, wherever you were. I can say for Jason and I have both shared that it wasn't that long ago where we basically were a zero. We definitely felt like a zero. Now, nobody is a zero, you know, not in God's eyes, you know, that's not true. You have value. But, you know, we go through the slings and arrows of outrageous misfortune in life. And oftentimes, right, we feel like we're a zero. And, you know, when we get around the right people, we find the right system, we get the right values-driven approach to having the right philosophy on life, we can go from zero to hero. So that's what we want to do. Go from zero to hero so you can yell crush biscuit about your life and about your business. So today, I've got a great episode. I want to talk to you about a cool idea. So let me paint a story, and it's about this guy named Jeff. Okay, now Jeff had a college roommate, and they were super tight, right? So I mean, they did everything together, and it's a story of two different paths. Now, Jeff went to college, but unfortunately, like a lot of us, he majored more in partying than in actually applying himself. Found out the great thing about college was in his first year that in the spring, everybody went on spring break. So he ended up finding himself in Daytona Beach, living the life as a beach bum, chasing girls, you know, all this stuff. And then what he did was, for a while, he had a good time. But then after a while, it wasn't so fun. And he ended up back in his home state, and he didn't have any direction, didn't know where to go. His roommate, on the other hand, applied himself, ended up working towards straight A's, got an awesome internship out of college, and got on the path where he eventually became a successful entrepreneur and sold several different entrepreneurial ventures and became a millionaire. Well, Jeff had his college roommate had two different paths because of the choices they made, their daily success habits or failure habits, as you will. So the difference is in these daily habits, they led on two different paths. Now, the secret is Jeff is the author of this book that I'm going to talk about. And the book is called The Slight Edge. And the secret that Jeff reveals is this person, Jeff, and his roommate, they're the same person. So it's really the choices that he originally made in school, and then how he had that day of disgust where he couldn't take it anymore. Do you know what that's like? Have you ever gotten to that point where you're like, it's almost like in that old movie, Network, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. So he had that moment. And The Slight Edge, I can speak for myself and for my wife, Alex, that this is one of the most impactful books that we've ever gone through. And it's not earth-shattering, you know, the concepts, but the best things in life, really, they are simple. They're simple, but they're not easy. So I want to break that down. I want to unlock today the power of the slight edge and what the big idea is that helped Jeff go from beach bum loser to multimillionaire entrepreneur. Now, Jeff has a quote on page 10 of the book where he says, in describing the slight edge, he said, you could call these little virtues or success habits. And he calls them simple daily disciplines. They're simple, productive actions repeated consistently over time. And that, in a nutshell, is the slight edge. You know, I had a favorite quote that I would write on my journal when I was in high school even, that I heard. And it's from Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. Ironic, since I'm an actor. But we act out of who we are, out of the truth of our being. And who we are comes from the daily decisions we make. And so I've always loved that quote, and I really say the slight edge is really that same concept. So think about it in your own life, right? You know, how about your health? Where is your health at today? And aren't you the result of the daily decisions that you've been making for the last so many years, right? And have you or have somebody you know ever totally flipped the script on their health? You know, you see those stories. They went from being, you know, this many pounds overweight to being like this. You know, I'm thinking right now of one of the guys, and if you're out there listening right now to the Zero to Hero show, just know there's lots of people out here right now who are a part of another tribe of ours called the Outsourced Lifestyle. And in that group, we coach people how to have a successful online business that can give them the ability to outsource their life, to be on a cruise, you know, to work from home, as my wife and I do. So I'm thinking of my man, Tony. Tony didn't know I'm going to give him a shout out, so I won't say his last name. But in Texas, you know, we got to meet each other at the Outsourced Lifestyle event in Florida this summer. The dude's jacked. He's in great shape. And he shared, you know what? He got to that moment several years ago. He said, I got to make a change in my health, in my lifestyle. And guess what? It doesn't happen overnight, does it? You know, unfortunately. But he made that change, and he applied the slight edge principle of taking that daily consistent action. Coming out of that, this is what I value. This is what I want my health to be for my family, you know, for those around me, you know, for my how I feel about myself. So think about that for yourself. Where have you been in? You know, and Alex and I were laughing yesterday because, you know, we recently moved to Chicago. We love it. It's awesome. We're not suburban people, you know. We enjoy being in the city, being a part of, you know, close to culture, you know, going to see plays or shows or music or what have you, even though we have a newborn baby, so we do none of that. But we go to awesome restaurants, so that's cool. And one of these is a cool coffee shop that has amazing donuts. Okay, they were like blow your mind. You know, they got I like the old fashioned, you know, like the cake ones, and it's got the cinnamon around it. Oh man, that's the best. You know, and I think that she likes the ones, of course, it's like a chocolate on there, but it's not this cruddy chocolate like at Dunkin' Donuts, you know. And I'm sorry if you like Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, that's like the Burger King of donuts. Okay, this is like a high-end donut, right? It's pricey. I think it's like $3. I know, right? That's delicious. So you get into that habit of like, oh, it's Saturday. Oh, it's Monday. I think I'll swing by this joint and maybe get a coffee and maybe something to eat, you know. Well, donut after donut, what sort of daily decisions are we making? And how does that add up or stack up? It makes me think of one of my former roommates who's a chef, right? So maybe that's a little strong, you know, don't tell him. He's more of a cook, but, you know, we'll call it a chef in case he watches this. So he was telling me that he was getting motivated to get in better shape. And I was like, well, you know, he said, oh, I put on like 20 pounds. And I mean, it wasn't his first time cooking. And I said, well, how come? He said, well, you know, I'm always cooking and everything, and you make a rack of cookies or something is sitting there, and I just go by and, I just grab one cookie. Just one cookie? What's one cookie gonna, that's not gonna really, it's just one cookie, right? It's not really gonna harm you. He said, it just came easy, like every day, grab a cookie, just one cookie, but one cookie compounded consistently every day. He said, I realized that I was adding about 2,000 calories a week to my diet just from that one cookie. So if he could just cut that out or cut it to maybe one cookie a week or something. So, I mean, that was a perfect example of the slight edge off the cliff, instead of the slight edge up to success and to the summit, it's the slight edge of failure. So, I mean, that's just an example of your health, but you can think about that. Some of us who are selling on Amazon, what are those success habits, those daily habits that need to happen? We talk about listing or these other things. And are you doing it? Is your team doing it? Are you tracking that? So they all add up. So that's business-wise. You can think about that in your relationship too. People describe relationships as a garden. If you don't tend to that, weeds grow up. And how many times, I mean, we've all been there, right? We're like, you see somebody and you're like, oh, I realize I haven't talked to them in a year, or longer. And you lose touch with people. And you feel like, man, I wish I would have kept up with them. Would it have been that hard to send a message, to pick up the phone every once in a while? And so those are just some real life examples, of what the slight edge, those habits look like. As Jeff Olson says, they're easy to do, but they're easy not to do. Good or bad. It's easy just to have one cookie each day. And it's easy not to if you can condition yourself to be in that habit. So you just think about those daily decisions that you've been having. So why does this matter? And as I think I've laid out and you've probably picked up on, it's the compound effect. We only, a lot of times entrepreneurially, they only talk about the compound effect in a good way, as in your retirement, your 401k or what have you. But you got to think about everything. It's a cookie a day, and then all of a sudden you're 20 pounds above your wedding weight, or whatever. You haven't been taking actions on your business, and you realize, wow, my sales really dipped. Well, how many listings have gone up in the last week? People who have done sales, they would say, how many dials did you make on the phone? How many, you do so many, they talk about it's a numbers game. You do so many dials, you get so many people, you get so many appointments. The more appointments, the more opportunities for a sale, the more sales. So that's the idea of this compound effect. Now, in the book, Jeff uses a picture, and it's not something I would have thought of, but it may resonate with you. Alex liked it. And he uses the example of the water hyacinth. Now, what's the last time that you've talked about or thought about a water hyacinth? What is a water hyacinth? Right? Apparently, it's some sort of flower that grows on ponds. That's what I'm told. Okay, so it's a flower that goes on ponds, and it duplicates itself slowly over time. So if you think about this, you have the flower, it comes on a pond, however it gets there through the wind, a seed or something. And, at first, it's just this little tiny thing. And even after a week, there's a few of them. Even after 15 days, it's only covered, it's duplicated itself, about the size of a beach towel. But by day 29, the whole pond is covered with it. And that's because of the power of the compound effect of this water hyacinth, how it covers the ground. Now, there's a graphic, that Jeff lays out in the book that I want to show you. And it kind of lays this out from a nice picture. And we got it there. I think you got it there on your screen now. You should be able to see that. So it just shows you the power of the compound effect, the power of the slight edge. You see up on top, easy to do, simple disciplines made consistently over time. They come out of what you value. You say, I've got to get in better shape. So I'm going to each day, I'm not going to eat that cookie. I'm going to walk for 30 minutes. I'm going to do it every single day. I actually saw a guy do that when I lived in New York City and waited tables at the Olive Garden in Times Square. It's like the biggest restaurant in New York, of course. This guy, every day he just drank a lot of water and he walked. He just walked all the time. He walked hour or 2 hours a day, and he dropped like 40, 50 pounds in like 5-6 months. It was pretty amazing. Consistent daily action, and that's what he did. So you see this from this little graph here that it's easy to do, it's easy not to do. And so you make whatever decisions you're making, you are going to become your decisions. So, and that's the graphic there that kind of shows that out. Jeff Olson goes on to talk about, and later in the book, we don't want to fall for this idea of the quantum leap. Now, what is the quantum leap? It is this idea that you can have overnight success. Make this huge leap. I'm going to go from, zero to hero like that, And he has a quote he puts in the book. It says, "I'm a great believer in luck. The harder I work, the more of it I seem to have." That's from Coleman Cox. So success, we realize this, right? It's common sense. Success never comes overnight. It's the consistent slight edge choices that before you know it, they do take off. But there's that initial period where it takes the faith, it takes the consistency to keep on going, to keep on plugging, to keep on building that wall, to keep on building that system. And then all of a sudden you start to see it take off. A lot of personal development gurus out there, they'll tell you that, 30 days to this, transform your life in 30 days or 90 days. And the reality is you're not going to see massive changes in those first 30 to 90 days, are you? A lot of these people, it's a bunch of crap. But you can build a foundation and you can start to see results when you combine the right work attitudes with the right system. And Alex and I can really speak to that. When we really started getting active drop shipping, we started to see proof of concept, at least, that, hey, this is working. I can actually do this. And I went, all out. I hammered it for months and months. And, after a while, you start to burn out. And that's why you have to work smarter. But I took that consistent action. And then you marry that with the power of association, right? So you're running with other people. We made the choice to invest in ourselves and go to an event, and we're going to fork over this money. We're going to invest in these plane tickets and hotel, and we're going to go to this event because we're betting on ourselves, and we're betting that we're building this system, and it's time to do that. That's the next slight edge choice that will really help us. Well, it's at that event that we meet Jason, and so if we hadn't done that, if we hadn't invested in ourselves, if we decided we were going to play small, we wouldn't have gone there, we wouldn't have met him, we wouldn't have learned about an actionable system that could really help us add work ethic to working smart, a system that allows you to then outsource your life. So, that's just an example that it's not a quantum leap. It's going to take time, but you've got to tell yourself, you may not get as far as, we start with these dreams and everything. You think you're going to get it in 2 months, 3 months, even 6 months, no, it's going to take longer. But, and I heard somebody say this once, and I've always remembered it, you will not get as far as you think, but you will get much farther than you think within 5 years. And I will say with what we're doing in the outsourced lifestyle, we actually did get much further than I thought within a year. It was the 5-6 month mark that was, okay, I haven't seen the hyacinths, take over the pond. And then the dam did break, and it was because the system had been put in place to get that compound effect. So, I hope this is making sense. I hope you kind of can feel, really get this book. It really is something that I know other entrepreneurs, they read this once a year, every year. It's one of those books, I knew there was a girl I dated who read The Catcher in the Rye every year. It's a great book, but it's not going to change your life. If you're going to read a book a year, I wowould start with maybe the Bible and some other ones that are going to actually benefit your life, your business, your soul. I love a great story too. We like Game of Thrones, and I just got into The Walking Dead. I don't know if anybody else out there. So I don't want to go off the wrong compound effect of like going crazy, but it's true, right? I remember when I got into like 24 back in the day when that was really popular, and it was before you could stream things. You had to get the DVDs in the mail. I get those DVDs sometimes 2 at a time. It was like, it's 4 a.m. and I've watched 24. Like six episodes in a row. So, sometimes it's fun to binge. I don't know where that fits in with the slight edge. That's like jumping off the edge. That's not the slight edge. That's like the massive fall. But it's fun, So slight edging, those daily habits in whatever area of your life are key. And there's a great case study that I am very happy to talk about, and that is God's team, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Yes. Now, Jason would disagree with that. He is a big Patriots fan, and of course, they're best team in football, but they have deflated balls. It doesn't matter if you're the best if you've got deflated balls. Who wants that? Take a Super Bowl trophy. That's just like, yeah. So anyway, I'm for the underdog, right? 0 to hero. You can't look at the Patriots as being the underdog. Hawkeyes, though, they do fit the bill. They're in the middle of nowhere. They've got like no superstar talent. So they have to like build things the slight edge way. They have to like develop people in the weight room. So they take 200-pound quarterbacks and turn them into NFL draft pick offensive linemen. So they're a much better example of the slight edge than the superstar Patriots. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Well, just so happens that last year they had a kind of a disappointing season, and the fan base, me included, are just like, get rid of the coach. They're terrible. Why do I, torment myself by being a Hawkeyes fan? And ends up right now they're ranked 5th in the country. They're 10-0. They've had this massive overnight success, right? All of a sudden, they've gone from 0 to hero. Why? Well, a lot of things really haven't changed that much, but they reworked. They looked at every area of the program, and they said, what can we fix? What can we improve? What can we start to change? They started changing some daily habits. They went from practicing in the afternoon. They met with Oregon. They started practicing in the morning. Why? Almost nobody practices in the morning in college football. And I'm sorry if you're not a football fan or a sports fan, but bear with me. This is a story, and there's, it'll tie in, okay? I'll talk about, Alex and opera another time, okay? So they have these morning practices. Well, what they found was by practicing in the morning, they had much less conflict with schedules, because these are students that go to college classes. But getting the practice in and out and done, the players, the students were able to focus on school the rest of the day, go get treatments for injuries, lift weights. And, if they're out at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., because this is college, and they know they've got to practice at 6 in the morning, there might be motivation to get to bed. So it's worked out well. That's just one example. But it ends up, guess what book they read during the off season? So they read The Slight Edge. The Senior Leadership Council found different books to read, The Slight Edge, and they're still talking about it in interviews off of different games, the effect it's had. They look at it just in their weight training program. I think the whole team on an average gained like 6 pounds in the off season. So it all starts with your mental framework, your mindset, as we know, and you act out of what you believe. So getting that right frame of mind and them understanding slight edge in your diet, slight edge in your work, doing that little extra things consistently has now, over the course of several months since the end of last year, benefited them. Not only did they connect closer together, they're all reading the same story. So they have a shared story they can reference and they can talk about. They can hold themselves accountable to it. Again, the power of association. So, whether it's a team in sports or, a play or a chorus, these are sorts of things where it's more than a single person. You are a part of a team. And you can think about that with your own business, your own team. What slight edge approaches are you doing to take and coach your team? What areas may have been neglected recently that you could say, you know what, I have not been consistent in giving them feedback on listings. I haven't been consistent in really looking at my pricing or my inventory. I haven't been consistent in dealing with customer service and the framework, the system, the messaging. There's something in there. There's a lot of moving parts. I haven't been consistent in delegating and raising up those managers to look over this system so that I can work on my business and not be stuck in my business. So it all comes down to Iowa. What can you say? It's not heaven, it's Iowa. And I'm glad to be able to share that example, that real life case study of the power of the slight edge. And so, what am I saying? I'm saying that if you read the slight edge, you'll be benching 300 pounds in no time. No. But you'll be able to take these concepts and apply it to whatever area of your life. So as I'm talking about this, what are you thinking about right now? Because, right? Whatever you're thinking about, like, yeah, I need to really apply this to X. What is it? Be honest, right? As I'm talking about this, you've been thinking about something in your own life that this could apply to. So don't miss, this is an opportunity to connect those dots. And then you have that choice. What is the slight edge choices that I'm going to start implementing to then address this, right? That's the power of our subconscious mind. As I'm talking about other stories, it's probably spurring you to think about some other area of your life, your business, your relationships. Okay. Yeah. Alex and I can talk about that. We've had that experience with our Amazon business. We plugged away, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're doing 100,000 a month in sales. It wasn't all of a sudden. We really were 14 months in of plugging away, trying to do it on our own, then getting the power of association, getting a better system several months later. So if you're starting with the system in the outsourced lifestyle, you're way ahead of where we started. Way ahead. We spent basically a year trying to figure it out before we really had the value of Jason's coaching with that. And now you get the power of association through our inner circle and mastermind, where we're sharing really high level stuff, and other people who are just succeeding, and you just start to rise to the level of the people you spend time with, don't you? That's that compound effect. Daily consistency, daily success habits, compounding over time, and then you're filled with water lilies. I guess that's the picture. Wrapping it all together, the slight edge, water lilies, weightlifting, football, business, it's all a circle. I don't know. Anyway, I like to have fun. So it's a great book. It's a great concept. I've recently just felt remotivated, in my own health-wise, to really commit with that. And so you can hold me accountable. right? But we're here, Jason and I, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you take that next step. And all of the our shows and why we're doing this is to help with motivation, to help with the strategy, to take those next steps and say you're on the path. The fact that you're listening to this, the fact that you're watching this means that, and one of the things Jeff talks about in the book, this is a great reminder, says, when it comes to this idea of personal development, it sounds like work, doesn't it? It is. It is. It's easier to be unaware, and just drown your sorrows in donuts or something else or The Walking Dead or what have you. But it's harder to really take a look at your life, to take a look at your relationships, your business, and say, okay, I got to be accountable at the end of the day to myself. So what actions am I taking? Is this where I want to be? Where do I want to be? And are the actions I'm taking, are they leading to that? Or am I just like, putting my head in the sand because it's just hard? I mean, if it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. And that's the thing. He said, only 10% of people are even interested in personal development. 10%. I mean, it's kind of discouraging. I was just reading over some stuff this morning again, and I came across that, and I was like, oh, man. And I don't know, I'm kind of vamping, but I think it all ties together. It's like you can get discouraged at overall only this many people. I think Tony Robbins says only whatever percent, only a few, they might even buy the program, buy this, it used to be buy the DVDs, the CDs. And he said only a small percentage of people will ever crack the cellophane. When things are digital now, it's, we don't have those, nice tactile examples to talk about. I mean, that can be really discouraging, but it doesn't have to be with you, right? It doesn't have to be with me. And I'm deciding I am going to take the slight edge on success habits. I mean, I refuse to just let life slip by and realize, look back and say, oh man, I've for the last 20 years been just having donuts and watching TV all night. I'm not going to do it. Are you? What does it look like for you to draw that line in the sand, to have that day of disgust like Jeff talked about? You can do it. We can do it. We can run in the same circles. We can hold each other accountable so that we can impact more people to do the same. Maybe it just takes the 10% who will do it to then want to actually help others. I don't know. Chrissy, what do you think? My greyhound is sleeping right below my feet, but that's what they do, A dog's life. There's no slight edge. I guess it all depends on who you end up with a master. So, yeah, I hope this is helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this. And as you think about the slight edge, and, if I just recommend, that everybody pick up the book. We'll try and post the link here if we remember in the comments or description, or maybe Alex already has. But identify those success habits, those areas of your life, whatever resonated with you, right? Whatever pricked you, whatever that, whatever the subconscious mind brought up as I was talking about, you have the opportunity. Will you be aware of it? You are aware of it because we're talking about it. Now, what are you going to do about it? And are you going to do it? Is it going to be like a New Year's resolution? Is it going to be a one and done? Or is it going to be like, this is the rhythm of life? From other things that Alex and I have done, we talk about getting those healthy rhythms of life. What's the rhythm? How do I get in that rhythm? This is just part of what I do daily. This is just part of who I am. And before you know it, by focusing on the daily habits, you become that success. It made me think, they interviewed Coach Ferentz with the Hawkeyes, and they're asking, because everybody right now, because I mean, hey, Iowa probably was going to lose here in the next couple weeks, or they'll lose to Ohio State. I mean, after all, they don't have the overall talent to really get to those, or maybe I'm limiting them. I don't know, but everybody wants to talk about, the championship and getting the championship, and everyone wants to talk about the end goal. Are they going to be in the playoff? And that's sort of the world we live in now. You do one thing, and all of a sudden they want to talk about the next thing. You get married, and they're like, when are you having a baby? I don't know. You have a baby, and you're like, when are you getting a job? But they ask him, they want to talk about playoffs. They want to talk about championship and this and that. And he gets it. And part of the reason he's kind of respected as one of the best coaches in football is he said, Al, we just want to work hard every day and get better every day, right? And Jason has talked about get 1% better each day. That's the slight edge. So that is it. So he says, you don't even have to focus on, it's great to have goals. We want to get, 100 a month, 100K a month, or 200K a month, or what have you. Great to have goals. It gives you some of the wind in your sail to keep going. But really, if you just focus on those daily, working hard each day, getting 1% better, that's the slight edge. Before you know it, it may even surprise yourself. I know, Alex and I have had that too in the business. We had different months where we're like, what goal should we make? Well, only make this much a goal, and all of a sudden blow by it, because, at least we were doing the slight edge habits to get us there. So that's the power of the slight edge. It's easy to do, and it's easy not to do. So what are you having for lunch? I'm Jerry Mills. This is the Zero to Hero Show. We're here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time. And next time, should be back with Jason O'Neill as well. And we'll be vamping on a different topic to help you crush your life, crush your business. So let us know what you think. If you got ideas you want us to talk about, give us a shout out here on YouTube or on Twitter and Facebook, and that'd be great. All right. Have an awesome one. Talk to you later.